Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And here we are once again, one away from that big 5-0. Anyway, Skyrim is so large, I'm about out of adjectives to accurately describe its size. Indeed, nearly 8 years ago in 2011, Bethesda released a game that would truly stand the test of time. Even today, The Elder Scrolls V boasts a shockingly active community. And a major reason for Skyrim's longevity was Bethesda's incredible attention paid to the little things. The developers were so meticulous that as we speak, many players are still stumbling upon new things for the first time. So today, why not embrace such an aspect of gameplay once again, as we dive right into yet another 10 tiny details you may still have missed in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Part 49. Starting off, today's journey begins in the Soul Charon, a dark, eerie realm of oblivion that contains the spirits of those who were unlucky enough to be soul-trapped in life. We visit it as a part of the Dawnguard DLC, and depressing wouldn't even begin to describe the attitude held by the spectral beings we see wandering this wasteland. When spoken to, they'll typically respond with one of a variety of despairing phrases, such as, "Get me out of here," or "It's so cold." But there's an ever so small chance that they may specifically say the following line of dialogue.
I live in a dark world where no light shines through. I carry this burden with every step I take.
At first, this ghastly statement doesn't seem especially significant. However, it's actually a verbatim quote from the lyrics of a song titled Dark World Burden by Chicago death metal band November's Doom. So it looks like whoever wrote these spirits' lines of dialogue decided to pay some tribute to one of their favorite bands. Next on our list, the Ogma Infinium is a unique artifact belonging to Hermaeus Mora, Daedric god of knowledge. More precisely, it's an ancient book that's said to contain nearly incomprehensible levels of information. The Dragonborn will get to open the tome up during Mora's Daedric quest, Discerning the Transmundane. And when we do, we'll get to choose one of 3 paths to level our character with, before the object simply disappears out of our hands and is sent to Apocrypha, the Daedric god's own plane of oblivion. But while it's open, we'll also see a couple of strange images on its pages. It's unclear what exactly they mean, but the strange wheel on the second page is clearly modeled after the Vizier, or Wayfinder, a magical symbol in Icelandic folklore, meant to help the viewer find their way out of difficult weather. It's said that whoever carries this sign with them will never get lost in storms, even if a clear way out is unknown. It's not obvious whether the sign's inclusion in the Ogma Infinium is of any significance. More than likely, whoever was designing the book's artwork just thought the symbol looked cool and wanted to throw it in there. But just in case, maybe bring this book along with you the next time you decide to go out during a blizzard. Coming in at number 3, speaking of all things Icelandic, Ryan is a young Nord man working for his parents as a cleaner at the Silver Blood Inn, Markarth's largest inn and tavern, which the family operates. Ryan spends his days sweeping floors, organizing dishes, and overall just keeping the place nice and tidy. Well, believe it or not, this Nord's name, Ryan, directly translates to the word clean in Icelandic. So either his folks already had their kid's future life planned out at birth, or they were the victims of a very big, and frankly lucky, coincidence. For 4th spot, during the College of Winterhold quest, Revealing the Unseen, the institution will send the Dragonborn to the dwarven ruins of Mizulft, so that you might meet with a group of Imperial researchers from Cyrodiil, who are currently excavating the site, and ask them if they know anything about the location of the Staff of Magnus, a powerful ancient artifact the college would really like to find. Long story short, when you arrive, it turns out that most of the Imperial academics have gotten themselves murdered to death by Mizulft's various traps, and her still lingering population of automatons. However, one of the scientists, a man named Peritus Decimus, is still kicking, and unfazed by the death of all of his colleagues, being little more than just slightly displeased. Peritus will state that the real reason he and his team of researchers came to Mizulft was to use the Lost Wemmer technology in order to create a map that could display the regions of Tamriel with the highest concentrations of magic. We'll have to aid him in completing that map and use it to help locate the Staff of Magnus. While Peritus is explaining the whole project to you, he'll mention that it takes inspiration from something called the Orrery in Cyrodiil. Take a listen.
Have you seen the orrery in the Imperial City? It was the inspiration for this idea. Instead of projecting the sky, we project all of Tamriel.
While most first-time Elder Scrolls players will simply shrug this info off as being of little consequence, those who have played the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion may find the term orrery somewhat familiar, as the orrery was actually a structure we'd encounter in one of the Elder Scrolls IV's mini DLC content packs. In it, we would be sent to repair the newly added, you guessed it, orrery at the Arcane University by locating some lost parts currently in the hands of bandits. Once we'd gotten the parts and fixed the device, it would grant us some special powers, and the mini DLC experience would be over. It wasn't very well elaborated upon what exactly the orrery was doing other than some important magic stuff, but at least we got it working, I guess. So when the researcher references the device in Skyrim, even to Oblivion players that worked with it, he may not be making much sense. But hey, evidently our work paid off, and the item must have had some pretty big value to the academic community. Seeing as 100 years later, it's still known to many. Halfway through at number 5, while we're talking about the College of Winterhold, one of the students we can encounter at the magical school is a young dark elf girl named Berlina Marian. She's defined by her enthusiasm for being at the college and her studies, despite being a bit introverted and somewhat irritable. She doesn't play an especially integral role in the Winterhold storyline, but she's an interesting personality. When first encountered, she'll introduce herself as Berlina Marian of House Telvanni.
No, I suppose we haven't. Berlina Marian of House Telvanni. First of my family to leave Morrowind in a long time.
Well, to most, this introduction won't be a very big deal. However, players of the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind will very much recognize Berlina's surname, as in Morrowind, we would meet a number of members of the Marian family. They were all gifted in the arcane arts, and loyal to House Telvanni. Much like Berlina, they didn't play a major role in any specific storylines, but it was obvious the clan was very skilled in magic, and one of House Telvanni's biggest supporters. So it's neat to know that, hundreds of years later, one of their descendants is studying alongside us in Skyrim. And the next time you cross paths with this elf, know that she's following in the very big footsteps of her ancestors. Next, in the Elder Scrolls lore, Hircine acts as the Daedric god of the hunt, patron lord of the chase. While he may not be the nicest of the Daedric princes, he's one of the few presented as not totally evil, and even somewhat honorable at times. In Skyrim, he's at the center of the quest, Ill Met by Moonlight, wherein he requests that the Dragonborn hunt down and slay a disloyal werewolf who stole one of his artifacts. At the end of the day, you can ultimately choose to follow the Lord's instructions, or spare the unfortunate werewolf. Well, the title of this quest, Ill Met by Moonlight, is in fact a reference by Bethesda to nothing other than a play by William Shakespeare. In A Midsummer Night's Dream, a comedy by the English playwright, the first line of the character, King Oberyn, is "Ill met by moonlight, proud Titania," as he addressed Titania, his queen. Quite frankly, I'm not entirely sure why Bethesda decided to use Hircine's Daedric quest of all things to reference a play like this, but nonetheless, it is a tiny detail, even if a confusing one. 7th, Igrod Ravencrone is the Jarl of Hjalmarch, who spends her days ruling over her court in the capital city of Morthal. It's actually the only city, but I digress. She seems to be a genuinely caring woman, who demonstrates a clear interest in the well-being of her people, as well as a pretty good degree of intelligence. Which is why so many players may be surprised to learn that there seems to be a secret plot within her court to have her overthrown, and a major power struggle is currently underway. You see, Gorm, Ygritte's trusted housecarl, at first maintains the persona of a loyal servant. However, he may ask the Dragonborn at any given time to deliver a letter to Captain Aldous, commander of Solitude's guards, asking that you do not open it. So, after we've accepted this adventure, and naturally opened the letter, we'll find its contents may be quite treasonous. Quote, Aldous, you know what we've spoken of in the past. It's time. Change is needed. Something must be done. I await your response. Signed, Gorm. When we deliver the letter, Aldous will admit that he and Ygritte's housecarl have discussed the possibility of overthrowing her in the past. But he still remains unsure, and the Civil War would make that difficult anyway. After revealing this and giving you some coin, Aldous will thank the player, and the quest will conclude. Nothing more ever comes of this in normal gameplay. We can't warn the Jarl about her traitorous staff, nor attempt to participate in the plot, or even watch anything happen. It all just ends. But something easy to miss is that there are some subtle signs of this plot outside of the quest. Ygritte is known to have psychic visions and dreams that tell of the future, as well as things that she really shouldn't be able to know. And one conversation that may radiantly break out between her and Gorm the treacherous housecarl goes as follows.
You are troubled, Gorm.
No, I'm fine. Is there something you need?
No, Gorm. I am simply telling you what I see.
Yes, okay. Well, thank you.
So, even before being alerted to the conspiracy, she's aware that there is something wrong with Gorm, just not sure what. Perhaps this is the reason why he wanted to send that letter to Captain Aldous. He knows she's beginning to catch on. Additionally, if you kill Gorm, Ygritte's husband, Asilfur, may send you a letter, thanking you for doing the deed and giving you some gold in gratitude. So it seems he may have been catching on to this whole conspiracy. Or perhaps maybe he was just a little bit jealous. We're not entirely sure. No matter, there is definitely some major conspiring going on in Morthal's court. Whether or not the Jarl and friends will catch on in time is still anyone's guess. Coming in at number 8, the Red Wave is a pirate ship currently docked in Solitude. It's led by a ruthless pirate named Safia, who alongside her crew smuggle a variety of goods across Tamriel's seas. She's been allowed to rest her vessel at the city's ports, thanks to some dealings with the Hold's corrupt Thane, Erikr. If we enter the ship, while they won't turn hostile unless provoked, Safia and her crew will be extremely rude to the Dragonborn, mocking you, threatening you, demanding you leave. They're all quite unwelcoming, though you are trespassing. Well, all except one. Eris is a mage aboard the Red Wave, who, rather than hurl obscenities at the player, will instead politely talk to you about her day, her background, and her goals. While a welcome encounter, Eris's presence does very much seem to be out of place, and personally left me questioning if Bethesda gave this pirate the wrong dialogue files or something. Alas, as it turns out, it seems the writers knew exactly what they were doing, as Eris, the pirate, shares a name with Eris, the Greek god, the god of disagreement and contention to be exact. It looks as though they were purposely making this character the opposite of everything she should be, naming the most agreeable and polite character aboard this ship of bloodthirsty bandits after the literal god of disagreement. Or maybe I'm providing a bit too much credit. This was all a coincidence and they got lucky. Oh well. A tiny detail, even if possibly accidental. Getting close to the end here at number 9, the book, Nords of Skyrim, was written long ago by a son of Skyrim named Hrothmund Wolfheart. It describes the Nords of Skyrim. He discusses his people, their qualities and history, in a way that awkwardly toes that line between pride and sheer arrogance. And it's quite easy for the book to come off as rather insulting to anyone who isn't a Nord. Though I'd imagine if you are, you'll find it very much a good piece of work. Funnily enough, it spawned a response book titled Dunmer of Skyrim by an Athol Saris. In his book, Athol describes his motivations for writing it as a means of contesting the claims made by Hrothmund in his Nords of Skyrim book. While Nords of Skyrim may have towed that fine line between arrogance and pride, Dunmer of Skyrim declares absolutely nothing less than Dark Elven supremacy. The author claims that, in truth, Nords are cowards, afraid of the Dark Elves, and that his people are destined to eventually claim all of Skyrim. Very, very slowly. Here's one particularly aggressive quote. "So now, children of Skyrim, you have the truth of it. You may call this province home, but no sooner can you claim to own it than a cow can claim to own his master's field. You are just another breed of domestic animal, grazing stupidly while higher beings plot your slaughter." End quote. At the end of the day, it's both hilarious that Bethesda thought to create a dispute between writers in Skyrim, and also quite telling of the province's current political climate. I mean, if I'm a Nord and I open this Dunmer of Skyrim book, I'd be pretty offended. Yet, to a lesser extent, the vice versa is also still the case. Oh well, at least this dispute is only words on paper. At least, for now. And finally, last on our list, Talon J is the Argonian owner of the Bee and Barb Inn, a tavern in Riften known for its specialty drinks. Talon will describe some of the beverages to the player, and offer you the chance to purchase them. One drink in particular is called the Cliff Racer, and when describing its ingredients and how it's prepared, Talon J will actually make a number of references to ingredients found in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind.
Last and only for the bravest of souls, we have the Cliff Racer, which is firebrand wine, Cyrodiilic brandy, Flynn, and Sujamma.
Cyrodiilic brandy, Flynn, and Sujamma were all consumables only found in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, not in Skyrim. At least, not in the vanilla release. Some of these later on made appearances in DLC and, dare I say, Creation Club content. But a neat little tip of the hat to some of Morrowind's most potent potions. And with that, we are going to wrap up our 49th installment of 10 Tiny Details You May Still Have Missed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Which of these Easter eggs and fun facts did you find to be the most impressive? Which did you already know, and what details have I yet to cover? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Big thanks to all these lovely patrons appearing on screen now, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.